reporting for Kids First, and today I'll be talking with Dove Cameron about her newest show, Big Nate. Dove is known for her work in Liv and Maddie and Descendants. Now let's talk with her about Big Nate. Okay, hi. I'm Heather Suarez with Kids First.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great, Miss Cameron. It is such an honor to meet you. I am so excited, so let's get right into it. Big Nate is adapted from books. What was it like to read about Ellen and then trying to find her voice in the process?
It was an interesting process because I didn't know about what is now the franchise before we dove into working on it. So I was kind of reading it as we were going. But in my experience with working on shows and projects with characters that have previously been established in a different setting, like obviously like Powerpuff or like The Descendants or like anything that I could look back on and reference or like any Marvel stuff. It's always been my experience that it's kind of better to create from your own brain and then take what is already there as like a sort of like a color, you know, almost like how I hold it is like if you've ever seen a light with then like a colored panel in front of it that changes the color of the light is still the same, but then the color, is blue or red or green, and that's like the character that's been established. So you're shining it through like a layer of a color, but it's still got to be, I think, your interpretation of it first and foremost. So it was definitely a familiar experience, but new in the sense that it was I could only use my voice. That was a really fun challenge.
That was actually really fun. I've never heard of that before, and that's such a brilliant thing about the light and how you change and you become a character. Ellen's really fun to watch. I mean, she's got like such an excellent personality. What is something that you are excited that fans can watch and learn from her?
I don't know. I don't know if she's necessarily out here teaching many lessons, other than the fact that and that's something I actually really like about Big Nate is that it's like it's about a family. So obviously, there are real life parallels to be drawing. And I love the fact that she is the matriarch of the household. She really steps up for both Nate and their dad. And she's very like holds the household together in that way. I think that's very admirable, and that's definitely like reflective of a lot of real life families, which is so important to me, is that like not every family dynamic is the nuclear family dynamic. Like mine definitely wasn't, and I think that's something that I like really love that we're able to create for people. But I think that also just like any real family, like not at the end of every episode isn't like and that's what we learned. It's like it's kind of nice that really what it is it's like a heightened obviously version of like real family dynamics. And so I think that like I guess if I could like draw a lesson from Ellen, it's that she's like very bullish and she's very I mean, Ellen and I could not have less things in common. She's like very organized, very disciplined. She's very like ambitious and like gets up and like wakes up every day and like goes and gets it. And I'm like, nah, that's like not who I am. And I'm not even saying that to be like quirky. Like I like am a mess most days. So I guess that's something I like admire about her. But I think honestly, on like a deeper level, she's really stepped up in a big way for someone so young. And so that's kind of beautiful in the family dynamic.
Exactly. They have this amazing dynamic of just brother and sister. And even though Nate hangs out with his friends, he always comes home and he has Ellen to rely on, even when the going gets tough. What was building the dynamic with Ben to make this relationship shine through with Ellen and her brother Nate?
So Ben and I didn't get to like really speak or really work on that very much. We work mostly separately. We've done a few full cast reads, but it's really difficult with Zoom during the pandemic. It's like you can't really reliably get everybody all in the same session very well. It's like quite just even like tech wise, it's just like hard. So we didn't get too much time to work on that. But I do think that like just through the experience of seeing what he was doing and responding myself, like he's just he inspires me so much as a vocal performer that I feel like, there's so much emotion in what he does. He makes it very easy for me as an actor to kind of like do the work myself.
You were just saying, as a vocal actor, this show has so many dynamics and like vocal changes and exaggerating the voice. How do you feel that you've grown as a voice actor working on Big Nate?
Tremendously. I think that like I've done some voiceover in the past, but I feel like I always forget that, and I think it's just because like in my head, I'm such an emotional person and I'm such an actually introverted person. And most days I'm writing more than anything else. Like I would say I'm actually like more a writer than I am anything else. Um, and so I like forget that my strength is actually comedy. And so I feel like I always learn the most from comedic performers and comedic settings, because it's a really freeing space to be, and it like kind of turns your switches on as a performer. So I feel like what I learned mostly, was that sort of sense of freedom with my comedy and with improv and like being comfortable, being very expressive, which is very good for any performer.
That's brilliant. And I want to talk on something that you said earlier. You guys were filming during a pandemic. What was it like these past 2 years just watching this project come together and now finally getting ready for the release of Big Nate?
Well, it's interesting because normally I'm normally very involved in every project that I do in a very hands-on kind of obsessive way. Like I think more so than people would imagine, and also probably less so than what people think. Because actors on the whole know nothing. Like everybody's always like, what's happening with this? And the actors are always the last person to know. Because if you think about it, even though the actors are the face of the show, they're not a part of any discussion about anything. It's like you show up, you do your work, you go home. But because at work you are the face of the project, you do get to know more things than you would in voiceover, right? Because with voiceover, you truly show up and go home. But with acting, you know, you're more present, you're more physically present, and you're there longer, and you're just more involved with the people because with animation, you kind of go away and come back, and then you see what they've done without you, and then you're like, wow, the world really came together. Whereas they can't really do that without the actor in a live action thing. So it was a kind of a bizarre experience for me watching the whole series come together and not know anything about what was going on. I was like, it was truly like a surprise every time. I was like, wow, what a cool choice you made there. And like, I see why you did that. You know, it's like, it's a very interesting process for me. So yeah, it was kind of wild to like go away and come back. And every time the world was more fleshed out.
That's super cool. We don't really think of animation as like this huge long process, and then watching you talk about it, it's really crazy, and just watching it come together. And I just want to say I'm really hoping that Big Nate gets renewed for a second season. Where would you like to see Ellen go and just watch her character grow and develop and have this sort of character arc?
You know, that's a really good question. I think that like I would love to see Ellen. I think it depends on how we're looking at it. If we're looking at it just from like a, you know, hilarity ensues kind of direction, I would love to see Ellen like try to tackle more romantic storylines, because obviously I think that's like always one of the funniest things about the family dynamic is when Ellen is dating a boy. But I think also in terms of like actual character development, I think she's kind of driven insane by both her dad and her brother. And I think like for her well-being, I would love to see her have some independence outside the family home. Probably wouldn't be as funny, but definitely would be better for Ellen.
That's really funny. I mean, I like how Ellen can go both ways, and I'd love to see where she goes from there. Miss Cameron, it has been such an honor talking with you. I grew up with you as a kid, so now watching you, yes, I watched you on like Liv and Maddie, and now I'm still growing up with you, and I'm watching you on Big Nate, and I am so happy that other girls around the world get to grow up with you. So thank you so much for talking with me. It's been an honor, and
You're
congrats
such
on
an angel. Thank you. Thank you for spending the time. Really lovely to meet you.
It's been lovely to meet you too. Thank you guys so much. Bye. Thank you for talking with me. Big Nate is available on Paramount Plus February 17th, 2022. I'm Heather reporting for Kids First, and thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to our channel to get all of our newest reviews, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye!
Yeah, I'm gonna do it.
Big Nate, new series. Stream with your family February 17th, exclusively on Paramount Plus.